Hey everybody, Jason here, and I'm back. Over the last few months, I've had a bunch of people ask for an update on my original race equipment video. So get over here, I'll unzip my Ogio bag, flip this thing open, and show you exactly what I take with me when I go club racing. Okay, before we unzip this whole thing, let me just show you what's in this top pocket. It's usually the same thing pretty much every time I go. Usually I keep one of my Makita drivers in here. Sometimes my LiPo bag with my shorty batteries and stuff and radio batteries in here. There just happens to be a pair of unopened associated springs from a kit. And this is my piston drilling kit. I take this with me pretty much everywhere. You never know when you're going to need to drill some custom pistons, and I just like to keep that stuff in that little spot. And so that's about that. I guess we'll go ahead and see if I can find the zipper on this bag. So this is my actual race stuff. And as we peel this thing open, you guys really won't be able to see too well, but down here in this corner, in fact, I'll move the radio just so you guys can see. But down here in this corner, you'll see that I keep a lot of little odds and ends. There's a whole bunch of shill stuff that I race with. These are some speed out bits. And these are, if you ever break a screw or anything like that, these things are absolutely awesome. This one's kind of a pain in the butt to open though. But these things are really nice for getting out strip screws and stuff like that. But we've just got shill racing parts, some screws. A lot of times I'll actually throw my my actual tire punch in here, and it's not in there at the second. And then down in here, usually what you'll find is a manual if I've got one with me, and I do. So that's what stays in that outer upper pocket. Pit board. This is the one that I got from my buddy Lee Marson. This is actually a Fiberland board. It's super light. It's made out of airplane flooring, but I've always got a pit board with me pretty much wherever I go racing. If you want one of those boards, I think Lee still sells them over there at leemarson.com. I take a pit mat with me. I think this is actually, is this a 110? This is a, oh no, this is one of my raw speed pit mats, but I always take a pit mat with me wherever I go racing. And then you guys can see what's actually in here now. I guess I'll scoot this over just a little bit for you guys. So I guess the first thing is I always take my tire tub. When I go racing indoor, I like to keep my tires really clean. I'm super picky about tire prep because it's super important when you go indoor racing. So we got that. You'll see that I've changed my oil package. I used to use like this Flacco or this like Flambeau spinnerbait box, and I still use it sometimes, but this was just a neat little alternative that I wanted to try out. I've been trying it out for about a month or so, and I like it, I guess. It's an AE product, and basically this comes and you fold all this up and put your oil in here, and it's pretty nice. It's a little bit more expensive. I think it's like 25 or 30 bucks or something like that, but as opposed to the $8 bait, spinner bait box or fishing tackle box I was using. Here are the actual cords that I bring with me, and for the most part, I don't actually go nuts when it comes to cords. Basically, there's the power cord for my SureSpeed power supply. This is the power supply that I've used. I've actually had this for 2.5, almost 3 years now, and this thing just works absolutely awesome, so I have no intent of changing that, and even if that one were to go out, I would just buy another one because I've had such good luck with it. But I've got the cords for the power supply, of course for my charger and for the batteries that I use. So this is the actual charger that I use. This is actually my iCharger, and I'll show you guys real quickly. This is actually a case that I got from Fry's. It's kind of like an inexpensive Pelican style case, and it works really, really nice. The charger just fits in and out of there. This is one of those pick and pluck style foam setups where you just basically, it's actually spreads or whatever. And so I did that, and this thing fits in here pretty flawlessly. So I take that pretty much everywhere. Even when I run 8-scale, if I'm running 8-scale nitro, I usually don't take that charger, but if I'm running 8-scale e-buggy, I always take that charger. Here's my other Makita driver, which is in here. Tons of pit towels, just old, these actually look dirty, but I wash them quite a bit. Tons of pit towels just for cleaning, shock oil, all that kind of stuff. LiPo bag. Normally this actually has car batteries in it, but now it just has a spare radio battery in it because I was just club racing and my batteries are still in my cars. My favorite car stand ever. These are just yoga blocks that I cut down with a bandsaw. These things are super, super light. They're, I don't want to call them indestructible, but they probably are very close to it. And they don't take up, take up too much space. Unfortunately, most of the tire sauce bottles that they sell today won't actually fit in my shock oil container anymore. Heck, they wouldn't fit in the other one generally. So I usually just keep a bottle of, or a can of Liquid Ranch or WD-40 or something like that, something that's got a nice cap on it just to keep it sealed up, and I just use that for tire sauce. Of course, you can't go anywhere without a pit light. I mean, I guess you can, but it's always nice to have your own light source, just, you know, when you're working on something small. This is an inexpensive light that I got at Office Depot back when they sold them, or maybe it was Office Max, but I don't think they sell this light there anymore. I only paid about 20 or 22 bucks for it. Now I've seen it on Amazon for like 25 or 30. It works really, really good, but I thought it was an awesome deal at 20 bucks. It's a medium deal at 30 bucks. Tire punch. Tire gluing kit. This is actually just an old container that I've used forever. And I've got some scissors, tire bands, and tire glue in there. And so I always bring that. You never know. I very rarely actually have to touch up tires, but it's not uncommon for people to ask me to glue tires for them, and I always try to help out when I can. Die-hard racers should never leave home without one of these. Now, if you're willing to spend big bucks, buy a Mitsu Toyo, but if you're not, this is just an inexpensive caliper that you can get from Harbor Freight. Just a 6-inch caliper, comes with a spare battery. Thing will really make setting up your car, checking shock lengths, things like that, just way, way easier. Little bit of servo tape and Velcro. I try to always keep that around. You never know when you're going to need it. I've always got buddies asking me for it. And here is my actual shock. These are actually shock springs, and this is just a container that I got over there at Walmart. In fact, I've got a video where I actually show links to this stuff, but this thing works super good. I have like 3 of these. I actually have one with all the associated springs, one with all the Losi springs, and then I have one that has like a mix of Avid and Kyosho springs. But generally, I just bring the one for the car that I'm running. And then we've got these last 2 containers. This is actually my tool container. And then this one is actually the B6 parts. And I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll actually clear this stuff off here, and I'll show you exactly what's in each one of these, just to give you an idea of what I take with me for tools and parts. Okay, let's start off with my B6 parts case. This is the car that I've been running the most lately. I really like my B6, and I don't have a tremendous amount of parts for it, but I've built 2 kits, and I've ordered a few spare parts and stuff like that. So we'll open up the top here, and you'll see that basically I try to sort everything out. So we got wing washers, slipper parts, servo horns, spacers, shock standoffs, spare bearings, because I put ceramic bearings in one of them, you know, shock eyelets, pistons. All the smaller things that are like, there's large quantities of things like suspension pills and stuff. I try to sort all that stuff in up here if I can. And then when you actually get into the actual larger parts themselves, it's stuff like, you know, of course I have a whole bunch of spur gears, arms, a couple extra springs that I've never used, rear arms. Just anything that I think I'll break, I try to buy at least 1 or 2 of. Not a ton of stuff, but like a top plate and stuff like that. So that's pretty much what I bring with me for parts when I'm actually going racing. I don't have a ton of stuff. Like I can't rebuild the car from scratch, but anything that's likely to break, I try to bring at least 1 spare of. So that'll do it for parts. Then when it comes to actual tools and stuff, this parts case is actually pretty old, and truthfully, it's pretty beat down. I should have taken better care of it. I actually have another one ready to go, but this one is just kind of old faithful, and I guess I'll make the switch when I can. It's a lot less organized than it probably ought to be, but I'll open up the top and show you guys what's in here. Basically, right off the rip, you'll see that it's got, so starting at the top, we got this Mugen Premium Grease, which is probably the best 8-scale grease you'll ever see in your life, but it's like liquid gold. It's like $18 for this little thing right here. But I've got some of the Team Testament RC Blood shocks, gears, things like that. Some thread locker, which I don't even know why that's in there. A spare sensor wire. Some red thread locker. The good old Boto sizer for the old B5M, SC5M, T5M platforms for spacing the ball cups. A little sanding stick. I have the Gravity RC one, but it's actually over on the bench right now because I was using it just a little bit earlier today. Some Team Ridiculous stickers that Smoker gave me, a file set, and then this is just mostly like some brass weights, some diff grease, chapstick. This thing is something that I never leave home without. This is actually a Gravity RC tool that you use for actually sanding down tires. And I actually found this little knurled piece right here, and I actually put it on there. So instead of using a wheel nut, I actually have like this little finger nut on there. So this thing works super awesome. A lot of times I'll bring a drill with me when I'm going racing locally, because it's got a lot more torque for breaking in tires. But if I'm traveling, I almost always take my tire sander because it's a lot smaller, weighs less, and takes up a lot less space. Tons of like little drills for the Makita. Some razor knife blades, a couple of turnbuckle wrenches that actually got up here that shouldn't be. These little Traxxas wrenches, I don't know why I drag these around, but I will tell you that it's not uncommon for me to actually find a good use for one of those things. And last but not least, these little plastic body washers will save you so much anguish from having a body come loose. If you have a body that the hole's a little bit loose, or it's cracked or anything like that, I don't care what it is, short course, 8 scale, whatever, having one of these washers could save your day. That way you're not out there, you know, your body's not chomping around like an alligator. If you need to make the hole a little bit bigger for an 8 scale, just hold on to the edge of it with some needle nose pliers and then just ream it with a body reamer, and just works awesome. So that'll do it for the top. Now when we crack this thing open, you'll see that I actually put a little turnbuckle in here. This is actually a Lunsford Super Duty turnbuckle, and this thing actually holds everything open. Let's see if I can get in here while you guys are looking. And it works super awesome, obviously, and that's the way I do that when I go racing. But I'm going to fold this open so I can see a little bit better for you guys. Okay, so let's start up here at the top. We just have an inexpensive Duratrax temp gauge. It's probably not the most accurate, but I've compared it to some of my friends' Exergens, and it's generally within just a few degrees, so that's pretty awesome. Couple of arm reamers, 3 and 3.5 millimeter arm reamers, body reamer, a couple of picks for getting the dirt and stuff like that out of the screws and shock towers. Of course, there's a Sharpie. Here we have 2 different toothbrushes. These are just inexpensive. I bought these in a 2-pack. One is for tire sauce, one's for cleaning the car. I used this for a long time. I really like this tool. AK actually gave me this tool a long time ago. It was actually, you know, I did like a little video on it, and I thought it was a really cool idea, and it's worked really well. But I don't know if you guys, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but it's really starting to wear and just kind of get beat. And it's really not a good choice for the really shallow wheel nuts that come on a lot of today's cars. But I still keep it around because it's just a nice tool and it feels good in your hand. I've actually got a new replacement for it. I bought this new STRC piece, and this one's a 7 mil. It actually feels really nice. It's a little bit shorter, and they actually make these in pairs, so you could buy a 7 mil and a 5.5. And when I bought these, my hobby shop didn't have the pair in this nice gunmetal color, but when I get my hands on a 5.5, it'll be in here in the toolbox. You guys can see that I have a bunch of different MIP drivers. I just think these are the best tools really by a mile. I know that there's other high quality tools out there, Aero Max, Hoodie, things like that, but I just really like these. In fact, they've actually changed these now. If you look at my 2 mil, well, so here's a 2 and a 2.5. You'll see that the 2 actually has a smaller handle. These are like the older generation, and I actually like this better. I like the smaller handle on the 2. A lot of the newer ones, I think, actually use the larger handle on all the sizes. So a couple of X-Acto knives are in here. Let's see here. So we got this Align toolkit. This a good 2 millimeter ball end is really hard to come by. So that's what that is. But these are actually for a lot of these bits that I have in here. And I literally have all kinds of both nut drivers and hex drivers for all different sizes and stuff like that. And I usually bring this Align handle because it's pretty small. It's not super heavy. It just works really good. I guess, oh, there's that Gravity RC stick. So here's the Gravity RC stick. This thing is actually super beat. I've had this thing for a few years, and you can see that it's literally on its last leg. I actually sent a message to my buddy Paul over there from Gravity RC, and there's a new one of these on its way. So this one will probably be getting retired pretty soon. Maybe we can make something else out of it or use it for something different. Always, you'll always find Scotch-Brite in my toolbox, just whether it's for scuffing in wings, finishing off, breaking in tires, things like that. This is Loctite, and this is not cheap. Like, this tube of Loctite is probably between like $9 and $14 depending on where you find it. But it's nice because you just never really spill it anywhere. And so I always have a little bit of Loctite with me. You probably saw the red one that's up on the top of my box. The reason the red one's on the top and this one's down here is because this one gets used nearly every time this toolbox gets opened. A little scale if I just want to measure something really quickly and inaccurately without breaking out the caliper. This is a 3 mil. This is a 3 mil. I don't actually have a 3 mil MIP driver, so this is a 3 mil associated driver that I use on a few different spots on a couple of cars I own. More bits. Now this is kind of interesting. This is actually the replacement for. This is actually the replacement for this. And what happened was, for whatever reason, this wouldn't fit into a couple of different spots. Like on my Max Line Products wheel, when you actually put the nut on the wheel, the hole wasn't big enough to fit in this. So I bought this one and I put it in a lathe and I just spun it down. You can see it actually has a pretty nice finish on it, but I use that all the time. Of course, more of my MIP drivers. I guess we'll start off over here. You can see that I've got a couple of different ride height gauges. These things are super cool. This one's spring loaded. Then of course I've got the Gia. This is probably my favorite, but my hands are just so thick that it's getting to the point where, like on some of like the really low riding cars, if you set your ride height really low on like a 4-wheel, it kind of gets in the way. So of course we have both of the little 5.5 and 7mm nut drivers from Associated. This thing I use on all my cars, including my B6s. This is actually the TLR diff tool. And this thing is just so nice because you don't have to disconnect your link. You don't have to take the wheel off. This thing just goes down into the side of the outdrive. You spin the other wheel and you can really set the diff, and just, especially when breaking in a diff, this thing will save you so much time. It's not cheap. It's like 20, 22 bucks, but it's worth the money for sure. Here's the actual slipper wrench for the TLR cars. And I actually went and got an inexpensive engraver from like Harbor Freight. I don't know if this will pick up on the camera or not, but if you guys can see, this actually has my name engraved in it. So many times I've loaned out tools over the last few years and they just vanish. They just never come back. The Avid wrench, looks like there's a couple other just odds and ends down there. This thing is a super cool tool. This might be one of my favorite little gadgets. It's actually a little clamp that I got off the Snap-on truck like 15 years ago. Holy crap. But anyways, it's designed for piercing the wire and checking continuity and stuff like that. And it's obviously spring loaded. This thing makes soldering so much easier. You could always use a pair of needle nose pliers with a rubber band on them to kind of hold the wires, but this thing is just super nice, just super precise. We have a pocket knife in here. Looks like some more grease. Obviously my toolbox could use a cleaning. These are these nice little drill bits that I have for the Makita driver. They're super, super, super nice. You probably wonder what this is. Now you're gonna think I've gone full hillbilly on you, but I haven't. This is actually a jeweler's loop. And when you really wanna look carefully at your tread pattern, at the way the tire is wearing, or anything just really, really close, like a pinion, like the teeth on the pinion to see how sharp they're getting, man, having a $10 little jeweler's loop makes a huge difference in your toolbox. So just really, really nice. This is the original foam from my Maxline Products billet aluminum wheel that's on my Airtronics radio. And it's a little bit thick. And I honestly, when I got the wheel, it felt nice, but it felt a little bit large in diameter and it was kind of uncomfortable or unfamiliar to me. So I ended up just taking the foam off of a regular Airtronics wheel. Actually, a guy named Stanley Wang gave it to me when we were in Vegas. He just happened to have a brand new one in the bag, in his pit bag. But I took the brand new standard Airtronics foam and put it on that new Maxline Products wheel, and it's the exact same size as the original wheel, and it's just super dialed. I just love that thing. So over here it looks like there's just a spring for holding the manifold onto, or the pipe onto a nitro engine. Looks like there's some B5M mounts. Flush cutters. Don't go anywhere without flush cutters. When you're trying to get flashing off stuff, nothing's nicer than having a set of flush cutters. These really kind of go in the same category as these. These are two tools I'll probably never ever get rid of. These are called Cobra pliers. It actually says Kneepex Cobra right on them, and you just press this little button right here and they slide, and they're just super durable. I got both of these off of the same Snap-on truck. Some good old-fashioned shock shaft pliers. I bring these mainly for taking ball cups off without destroying them because it's super easy to do. But when I actually want to work on shocks, I actually like these. See if I can dig these out real quick. I actually like these these pliers a lot better for actually working on shocks. Looks like my toolbox is getting light and wants to bend around or whatever, but of course we have some needle nose pliers. Got to keep those around. This is my RC planning. This is actually a Kyosho camber gauge. It's just small. It's aluminum. Just a nice little piece. Body scissors. The actual shock shaft pliers that I use when I'm actually working on shocks. These things are awesome. These are made by ProTech. I actually have a really, really nice set of these that are made by Techno as well. They're not in my box right now. They're in my other 8-scale stuff, but anyways, I digress. Just some heavy duty scissors. For whatever reason, I've always used these for opening packages. Here is a weight that goes underneath a shorty battery, and it looks like there's another scale in here. So I guess I have some duplicates in here. But anyways, that's it. That's what's in my toolbox, and that's that. I guess let me show you my radio, and that'll be that. That'll be exactly what I take club racing. Okay, last but not least is my radio. You see I've got this nice aluminum ProTech case. It's a little bit beat up, a little bit dusty, but it has done a really good job of actually protecting the radio. And we'll crack this thing open real quick, and then this is the radio itself. Now, I literally have loved this radio. It's just worked really, really well. Let me get this case out of the way so I can actually show you guys the radio. But the radio itself has worked really, really good. It's a little dusty and a little bit beat up. the grip is starting to stretch out and stuff like that because I've just used it so wickedly much. And but this thing just works really, really well. You see it's got this Maxline Products wheel on it, and if you're wondering what's so special, number one, the wheel is actually billet. Look, man, it looks like I got a scuff on it. I did drop this radio the other day for the first time in like years, but anyways, it's got this billet aluminum wheel, which is super nice, and what really makes it really cool is, check this out. It's actually got an offset. I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's actually an offset to the wheel, so it actually sticks out a little bit from the actual drop down. That way when you're gripping onto it, your fingers aren't actually running into the edge of the radio. But so that's it. That's what I take racing. All right, so you guys got to see what's in my Ogio bag. You got to see what's in my toolbox, my parts box, my charger, my radio. Hope this helps you guys out. See you next time. Okay, that's it. You guys got to see my charger, tire sauce, kind of like parts, tools, things like that. And that's basically what I take with me when I go club racing. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. I just want to say thanks again for watching my videos. I appreciate you guys watching. If you enjoyed this video, you'd be doing me a huge favor if you could either like, comment, or even better, subscribe. I post a lot of stuff on social media like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, stuff like that. So if you want to catch up with me, I'll post this stuff up for you. And you can come on over, add me as a friend, follow me on Instagram, and you'll be able to see things that just don't make it to YouTube. Again, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.